I'm gonna say it again. Look at us in our
Hello.
all our shades of brown. We got some what you got going on, Allie? You got some redness going on
This is where my
over there.
Indian side comes out.
Your what side?
Ute Indian
Yes, yes, yes. You can
out
see
with the
that
red.
very, very clearly. It's hint of red. Erica's got that soft caramel flavor looking skin going on. And I got a little bit of airbrush chocolate with
Airbrushed
a
chocolate.
little bit of shine. With a
Yeah,
little bit of shine.
it's the airbrush chocolate for me because it's spot on, first of all.
Right? So beautiful.
I'm
Good
Demita
morning.
Jolin,
Good morning,
and
ladies.
you
Good morning.
are plugged into Shekings. This podcast is created by Black women for Black women leaders, healers, and entrepreneurs who are ready to show up in a way that feels deeply authentic, connected, and as big and as powerful as you know you are. This podcast is for you if you want the tools and mindset to create a life and business free from self-consciousness, hustle culture, and old school conditioning that tells us success looks just one way. Let's usher in the new earth where embodying your you-ness is your birthright, and where Black women get to be powerful, seen, joyful, and free in everything we do. For the culture, for the ancestors. Let's get it.
All right. What episode are we on? Are we on number 5? 5.
Oh, yes.
Hey, well, welcome everyone to Shekings episode 5.
Mhm.
And today's episode is going to be on my favorite in all the words and mindset, which is consistency. And I was being totally sarcastic because
I
I avoid consistency so much. If I can change every 2 seconds, I'm at home. If I have to stick with something every 5 seconds, I'm like, too much stress.
5 seconds even. Wow. Speaking of 5 seconds, though, we'll be talking about the 5 seconds. That's how quickly it only takes 5 seconds for your brain to get on board to change your mind to do anything, right? So there you go, Allie. 5 seconds, too long.
Way too long. I'm going to give it 4.5 seconds and then go to something else.
Well, I feel like just like as a starting point to talking about consistency, most consistency fails. And maybe this is what you're saying, and I misunderstood Demita, but most consistency fails in like that extra thought.
Yes.
Like just when you give it should I, like, if you're just get up and do the thing. Because if you give it any time, then it allows several voices to come in and be like, oh, but we're tired. Oh, but we're not really into it. Oh, but we're not really. And that's why we're not consistent, right? Because we got a million voices in our heads that are saying a million different things about why we really don't have to do it. And like, if I've never found another reason why I failed to be consistent, period.
Well,
absolutely.
I think the big question is, what is consistency? Let's start at the base. Like, what is consistency?
Yes.
As some people think consistency is doing the same thing daily. Some people think it's doing it a couple times a day. Like for me, I'm down with like maybe a couple times a week is good on certain things. Some changes with different things that I do. Like some things I'm consistent every day, and that's for that structure in my world.
Yeah.
And then other things like for my business, let's say Instagram, I'm consistent like 1 to 2 times a week posting on Instagram. So that's that consistency. So I guess just kind of figuring out like, what is your like, what does that look like for everybody?
Such a beautiful point.
Well, but what does it mean though?
Yes. What is, I think everybody has, I mean, that's the thing. We read a definition in the dictionary and we say that is what it is. But what is it from our essence, right? Like, so how would you describe it, Allie, since you brought it into the space, which is a very important point.
Well, let me
talking?
and say we don't even read a definition in the dictionary.
Well,
Like, I feel
that's
like most of us, like most of these words that get us tripped up where we're like constantly judging ourselves, we don't really have a definition of it. So we're judging ourselves by like a dictionary definition, like you said, or by some sort
yes,
of nebulous like idea that's out there of what it means to be a particular thing. Like we're not even clear
that's very
on,
true.
we just know we're not doing it. Whatever this
Absolutely.
sort of made up or defined thing is that doesn't actually work for us. So back to your question for Allie.
Well, and then if I may just add one more thing, research shows that when somebody repeats something consistently, and we're going to define it in the way that we think of it, it becomes truth, right? So it doesn't even have to be true. It just, if somebody repeats it enough times, then it becomes that truth. So,
Yep.
with that being said, Allie, what is your definition of consistency? How would you describe it?
Well, for mine, it's based around energy, right? So the more that I put my thought or my action into a belief, then it builds energy around that concept. And then that just makes it, supports it or allows me to align up with it, right? So if it's something that I want to experience, then I'm thinking about it constantly. I'm getting excited about it. So that's that consistent. Whereas if I shift off of that consistency thought process or action, and then I say, oh, that's never going to happen to me, right? So then I'm breaking that. So for me, it's just actions, a feeling, and a thought to move me towards something I desire, I want. So that's my definition of consistency. And I did pull it up. So let's see what it says.
Yes, what does it say?
It's a action or acting or done in the same way over time, especially as to be fair or accurate. And then it's unchanging in nature, standard, or effect over time. Compatible or in agreement with something. So I like that one. Like you're compatible with your thoughts and your actions. You're in agreement with it. Like this is what I want. So I'm going to put energy into agreeing with this thing, my business, this relationship, how I want to feel my body. I'm compatible with it. So I'm going to keep putting energy into it. So those are the definitions for consistent. What is your definition for consistency, Erica? For you?
I would say for me, honestly, consistency is, I used to think it was deciding to show up in a regular intervals for something. And then I think, and that's what I would say on the surface. And I think underlying that was just the belief that I had to show up every day for something. And like all of my energy had to be behind it 100%. And now my definition is consistent alignment with my own energy in the moment. And I think that is tricky because of the voices who are like, if I'm, on a roll doing something and I deviate from that because my energy is shifted and I decide to honor where my energy is in that moment, there are those parts that really want to hold me to this sort of, but it's supposed to be every day, or it's supposed to be in these intervals, or supposed to be like that. And so I think that though I define consistency as honoring my own energy in the moment, I'm not going to pretend like there are not parts of me who want to hold me, not even to what I would say is a higher standard, but to a different standard that doesn't honor my energy in the moment. Because I think that, old paradigm, as it's being ushered out, it's still how we were raised, which is ignore your energy in the moment Ignore what feels good to you in the moment. Go to an expert. Go like do what everybody else is doing, like follow the crowd. So there are like sort of all these things that we're just implicitly trained to do and sometimes explicitly told to do that are now like voices in my head that I have to really take time to. So that's my definition, but I can't tell you that it's always the most peaceful experience to honor myself.
That's Audrey shared something that goes along that same lines, what you were saying, Erica. It's that so human design, if you don't know your human design, like figure that out. You can go to myhumandesign.com. So some people have to have the same routine. It's just how they're wired. Like that's their routine. Other people, they have to switch it up like every other day. Yeah, so that's interesting. Yeah, that goes along with it. Like shifting off of it or staying on and just being okay with it. Like, this is how I'm showing and I want to move this way, or I want to stay on what I do all the time.
For the listeners, Audrey is Allie's daughter and like the creative genius behind like all of our visuals and like what we post. She's absolutely amazing. If you are looking for any support in that space, reach out to us and we will definitely put you in contact with Audrey. So short plug. Now, Damita, what does consistency do?
That's beautiful. And Audrey is amazing. I would like to say, first and foremost, you two had some very, what you were speaking to is what I heard you both saying really is that consistency, and I'm using the word to define the word, but I'll come back. The consistency in showing up for yourselves, right? Like in the way that works for you in the moment. Because we are often, like you were saying, that paradigm, that belief system that we're supposed to show up a certain way. And that's what consistency is. And we're working according to what others believe, as opposed to really getting still and understanding how we operate, how we navigate the world. So when I think of consistency, it's along the same lines as you were speaking to, Erica, of trusting myself in the moment to do the right thing. And when I say right, it's quote unquote right. It's the right thing that gets me closer to my goal. And so it is doing that every single day and every single moment. And that is the consistency, right? And so I don't know what that's going to look like from a day-to-day basis. All I know is I have something structured, set in place, like this is the direction that I'm going, but that could shift in any moment because I'm using myself as a compass, right? My inner guidance is my compass. And so pardon me as I clear my throat. That is consistency for me, is really truly trusting the steps that I need to take in any given moment to get me closer to my goal.
And that's what's so important about that, Damita, too. What you said is, what is your goal? So even with like relationships or businesses, like what's your goal? And so if you can focus on the goal, this is what I want, then what are your steps to get there?
Exactly.
Right. And this is how it shows up for different people. Like for me, I get, I don't want to use the word obsessed, but I get really plugged into something when I see it, and I want to do the activity like every single day because I love it so much. And then I'll hit my wall and then it will shift. Right. So some people get excited about something and they do it like every 2 weeks, but that's their excitement. Like that's how they let it run through them. So yeah, it is truly just figuring out what your end goal is. Like, what do you want? And then how are you going to get there to do it? It may take some people every day. It may take some people a couple times a week to get to what they want. So yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, and I think, and thank you for bringing that back around, because that is one of the reasons why I believe people have a different idea of what consistency is because there's no clarity of the goal. Like they don't understand. I should say I'm going to speak for myself. when I'm not understanding the direction that I'm going or the goal that I'm moving towards, then I'm all over the place. So my consistency is not consistent, if you will, because I don't know the steps that I need to take because I don't know the goal. So, we'll talk about this as we move through is that clarity, the importance of the clarity of your goal, your direction, right?
I want to add to that the concept of time. I feel like sometimes we're clear or unclear about what the goal is, but I feel like when you add time into it, like it must be done in this time. And if it's not, then I feel like it brings because I think that what we've been talking about when we talk about consistency is actually moving away from traditional ideas of consistency and into this idea of integrity, right? And honoring yourself and into a moment by moment presence. And so I feel like once we bring this idea of a goal into it and we attach a time to the goal, then all of a sudden people find themselves like deeply out of integrity and really holding on to what they said about what you need to do in order to get there. And so for me personally, when when I'm talking about goals, like two things have to be true for me. One, it has to be time free so that I am like there, so that I'm not putting myself under unnecessary pressure and taking away the pleasure of it. And two, it has to be a self-directed goal. It has to be a goal that is not some external thing that I'm trying to achieve. It's just, I am interested in experiencing, more peace in my business, more pleasure in my business. I'm interested in, something that like actually is bringing a shift in the quality of my life, because I find that like when my focus is that, then I'm able to show up in integrity with full energy and less interested in what other people have to say and how I'm supposed to be doing it and how often I'm supposed to be doing it. And because if I'm not trying to get somewhere in a certain time period, which I find always throws off my business clients. Oh, well, because if I want to quit my job in order to get into my business, then I have to. I'm like, you're putting pressure on this. You're putting pressure on the fruit of this. And so you're not going to focus on the roots of this. Like I did a post the other day. It's roots over fruits, people. Roots over fruits. And so for me, when I look at consistency or I look at integrity, I'm like, if I'm focused on the roots and I'm not focused on the fruits, then it means it takes as long as it takes. And I know that I'm focused on something that is meaningful, that will keep motivating and that will give me fruit over time, as opposed to what I was doing. Full disclosure, which is chasing the shiny things. Like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing this. And this is how a coach is supposed to show up. And this is how I fill up this. And this is how, and I tell y'all, I feel free and I feel consistent, even though it's not a consistency that somebody can look and see, because sometimes it's so easy to talk about this in terms of like posting. So that'll just keep being the example if I think of something else. But sometimes I'll post 4 times a day, like literally like the posts are flowing. And sometimes I'm like, integrity is not to put out trash or to force myself into this, but to watch Netflix all day. That feels deeply aligned.
There you go.
I'm like,
being consistent with the essence of you, baby. That Netflix day.
Before we move on, I love integrity. So having integrity with yourself versus being accountable. So if we change out being accountable, you can't hold people accountable. It's totally self-integrity. Like, how do you want to show up for yourself? And we can talk about, how that shifts and change when you're working with other people or a group of people and you have a project that has a deadline, all that stuff. That's like you apply it with how it works for you, but still have integrity for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And thank you for saying that, Ali, because I was thinking that people are out there like, wait, hold up. How do we do this without, we're going to tell our clients that, you know what, I'm not on a timeline. I'm going to show up when I show up. You know what, you'll get your shit. Don't you worry. When I want to show,
Don't you
when I
worry.
want to bring. But because that is a really important question. We're talking about unconventional ways of being, right, in business. And it goes against the grain. And so instantly what our whole bodies want to do is push up against that. Our ego for sure wants to say, hell no, that's not going to happen, because that's not comfortable and that's not the norm. And so that is the other part of it, is finding what is your norm, right? And so understanding how to navigate that way of showing up, like Erica is speaking to, where there's no timeline, really focusing on the roots and not the fruits of things, and how that can look. And it really is around communicating that to your clients, like you were speaking to, Erica. This is how I operate, right? And this is how I will navigate this space with you. And it becomes that, like, you're showing up in your integrity, and people follow through with that, right? They fall in line, if you will, quote unquote, fall in line. But they align with you, with your ideas around how you look at time.
Yeah.
Which is a tricky thing.
Well, one thing that was coming up as you were speaking, Demita, is the difference between trying to meditate by yourself and trying to meditate with a group. And always when I'm leading a meditation or a yoga class, or I'm with a client one-to-one, they're like, oh, my meditations are always so much better with you. And I'm like, it's just because there are other people around. And so, like, everything I'm saying is, like, it also is integrity for me to show up and honor my commitments with other people. And so if I tell somebody that this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to do it, I always honor that. And for you, with you all, like, I can be having a Netflix and chill day, but if I'm supposed to be she-kinging today, like, that is what the heck is going to happen. I am not going to not honor that, because I also have integrity around my word. But in terms of my clients, what I've learned is, like, I have, just like you were saying to me, that I've gotten a lot looser with my clients, right? So especially, an easy example of that is when I work with couples. I love working with couples. And the way I work is I say, okay, I'm going to meet with you all separately to start. We're going to do that for a few months, and we'll see if we need to spend a little bit more time separately before we bring you together. And then once we bring you together, maybe we'll find that we need another individual session for one of you or the other one, or maybe we'll find, and I know that it sounds like bonkers, because a lot of people who come to me, especially for couples coaching, they've been to therapists, they've been to other couples coaches, they're trying to figure out, like, which way do I go? And then they meet me and I'm just like, la la la, like, I've done it. I've done this thing, and I know that building in consistency for the sake of consistency is actually not the thing that gets us to what you're actually looking for, those roots being developed properly so that you have the fruit of a prosperous relationship. And that's my take on that.
I like that because you are just allowing the process to unfold, right? And everybody's process to be different. And so it's hard to be consistent with whatever coaching session that you have. You're just like, this is what it's doing. This is how it's unfolding. With people who work for a company, I found it to be really good to share the 90-minute sprint with them. So even though they have to be consistent with their work, they have to log on. These are clients who work from home. They have to log on a certain amount of time, and then they have to get this amount of work done. So within that day, I taught them about the 90-minute sprint, which is basically you set your timer for 90 minutes, you shut off everything, every notification, your phone, everything, and you work for 90 minutes. Like, you're not distracted. And then once that 90 minutes is over, then you get up and for 20 minutes, 25 minutes, you're moving your body. One of the things is take a cold shower, especially if it's in the early afternoon, to wake your body up instead of throwing back coffee. So you have your own routine, your own way of being consistent. So you're holding on to what feels good in your body as you're implementing your mind, your energy for this company. So, I mean, consistency can show up in so many different ways. It's just, again, what Erica said, like having integrity for yourself, like what feels good. So you don't feel like you're giving your energy away to other people, to a company. You're always falling short. It does go back to that. What is my end result?
Oh, we can't hear you, Allie.
Oh, can you hear me?
Or
now?
is that just me?
Yeah, that's just you.
I can't hear you.
The universe was like, we don't want Erica to hear this piece. Can you hear us? Can you hear us now? Can you hear her now?
Okay.
We can't hear you though. No.
You're on mute. You're on mute.
Well, now I muted myself. Okay.
There you go.
If we can, let's try to cut that part. My bad.
Oh, no worries, no worries. So it's having that end result and then knowing what feels good to you. Okay, so this is a perfect example. If you want to improve your health, this is your end result. And then how does it feel good for you to do it? Like maybe it's not an everyday thing. Maybe you have a cheat day a week, right? Just doing things that feels good to you to get you to your end result, right? So like we can thread that through absolutely everything.
Absolutely. And speaking of cheat day, quote unquote cheat day, I love how Allie just shakes her shoulders. That just excites her so much. You all must know. The reward that you offer yourself after that 90 minutes sprint, right? It's so important that you follow that up. And so that 20, 25 minutes or however, like no longer than I would say 35 minutes because you don't want to get out of rhythm. But to reward yourself with something that you love. Maybe you want to finish a show. Maybe you want to take a walk and put your face in the sun, get kissed by the sun. I don't know what it is, but whatever that thing is for you, like give yourself that reward after you've done that 90-minute sprint and then jump back into it because that really motivates you to keep going, right? The reward is everything.
It is. It is. And what were you were talking to us earlier about the 5-second rule.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Mel Robbins, this woman, love her. She's got such a extravagant personality, but she speaks to how she was falling consistently into patterns, into habits that were keeping her, that were really destroying her life, basically, like in every aspect of her life. And so she one day woke up, she counted from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just jumped out of bed and realized that in 5 seconds, after doing a lot of research, in 5 seconds, as I was speaking to earlier, what happens is your brain turns on. And so it gets you to thinking about what you're actually about to do. And your ego wants to keep you comfortable. So it changes your mind. Like you start to make excuses like Erica was speaking to earlier. Whatever that excuse is for you, you somehow validate it. And so this 5-second rule really got her to start to jump into action before she started to think about what she was doing. And so it is so powerful when we're thinking about our business, whether we're starting our business or we're in our business and we want to shift our business. When we have an idea, instead of continuing to sit on it or think it through, count down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. Take that action, whatever that action is. It just needs to be something that's moving you towards the fruits, as Erica would say. So I know, yes. Go ahead, Erica.
Gonna say, I feel like this is the space of conversation that everybody is looking for, right?
Yes.
Because everybody can say, okay, I buy into your idea of consistency being about integrity. I'm totally willing to drop the idea that consistency means show up every day or show up how the experts say we're supposed to show up. But here's the deal. Like, when does it become that I'm out of integrity trying to be in integrity, right? When does it become that I'm not actually honoring what it is that is being called out of me consistently because I am, I'm telling myself, oh, well, today I just need to relax, right? How do I know that this Netflix and chill day is not me copping out and being inconsistent with my integrity versus me just honoring what I need today? And I feel like that's like the part that people get stuck in. When do I need to cut the crap with myself and actually just get this thing done and stop being like, oh, well, what do y'all think about that?
At the end of the day, because that is something that I have fallen upon many times in my life. At the end of the day, we know when we're being dishonest with ourselves. And so I believe, for me, what has worked, it is the question of, am I doing this because rest is really being called into the space that I'm really needing that rest, and that's what's going to inspire me to go further or motivate me to go further? Or am I watching Netflix because I am hiding, because I don't want to show up, because I am afraid? And so it is what we are talking about in Shekings. It's that interrogation of self. It's getting to know ourselves. And the only way that we can do that is we have to ask the question. When we're about to sit our butts down on the couch and we're about to watch a whole series, ask ourselves, right? Ask the question, what am I hiding from something? Am I hiding from something, right? Is there something that needs to get done? And maybe the whole needs to get done is what we're talking about, is moving away from. But is there something that I'm meant to do in this moment that I am hiding from? And that is the question that I ask myself. What?
I hear you, but I'm going to push, because I know my clients will push. The folks who come and they would be like, well, what if I'm both tired, in need of rest, and afraid, and hiding out? Like, and what if it's been going on for so long that I don't even know like which one it is or how to get out of it? Like, what do you think about that? How do I deal with that when it's both?
In situations like that, it's focusing on what's your end result. Like, what are you moving toward? And I know we don't want to push time on people, but I think deadlines are so important. And so if you're simply saying like, I'm comfortable where I'm at, then you will find those reasons. Like, I'm tired, I'm this, I'm scared. Yeah. But when you're ready to, I'm going to use the word push, when you're ready to push yourself out of that mindset loop and you want to work towards your end result, like, you'll do it, you'll show up. But it is finding that balance between being comfortable where you are in your life and consistency. When you truly want to experience more, when you want to reach that goal, then you will step out of that loop that I'm tired or I'm hiding or whatever it is, to push yourself towards that, towards those results.
I love that too. And I want to say that along that line, Allie, of the comfort part. Like, we believe that if we're uncomfortable, then that's not the right thing to do, right? And understanding that our bodies, when we begin to change our habits, our bodies naturally will respond to it. Will be uncomfortable because our body knows a certain way of being. And so we have to push ourselves. We have to be willing to stretch outside of that comfort zone. And that's the part that is the difficult part. And it's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 that helps me in doing so, because I know I'm about to get into my mind. I'm about to tell myself a story, but I deserve to rest. I am a beautiful Black woman. I work hard and I deserve to lay my body down. Right. And then it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Allie, we practice this, and it's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And I know, and that's the mindset too. It's like, you have to start doing something different. You have to start. And that's the thing. That's the consistency. Just start doing something different. Yes. And consistently do that.
I'm loving this.
Oh no, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I'm kind of like gathering the answers that you're giving. So if you have been in a rut and you're not sure if you're talking about being integrity or just avoiding discomfort, then, you know, what I hear Allie saying is, okay, well, come on, let's bring in some like external like force upon, you know, what is it? Inertia. Something in motion will stay in motion, and something in rest will stay at rest, and let's act it on by an equal and opposite force, right? You need something to move you if you are in that place where you've been both afraid and tired for a period of time. So maybe that's a deadline for some people. I'm hearing me to say, okay, well, maybe that, you know, try the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Like, let's not engage the mind, because as soon as you start engaging the mind, you know that you're not doing the thing that you're meant to be doing in that moment. One of my coaches is always talking about, you know, especially if you're comfortable and you have a nice life. She's like, well, what you out here doing? What is bigger than your comfort? What is bigger than your nice life that is going to help you like do what won't stop like nagging at you and pulling at you? I find that for me, things like Shekings, or I'm working on building another business right now, accountability to other people. It always helps me to move. If I tell somebody I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. So if I tell you I'm going to take a walk with you every day, I'm not going to, like, something's got to act upon me to stop me from walking out of that door to do the thing I said that I was going to do with you. And acting and doing these things with people who have integrity, because we both can't be like, oh, well, not today, maybe. Like, that's not your partner. They're just like you, and they're also looking for a way to Netflix and chill all day. I know Netflix and chill means have sex. You know what I mean? Then that's not going to be the person that that you want to hang out with.
Yeah.
And then one thing that I'd like to do is consider, instead of like fighting our way to the person that we want to become, exploring who is it that you would have to be? Who's that person? For you to have that experience that you're looking for. Go embody that fully. Just jump into it.
Yeah.
And start to act from that place of I'm already there. And I find that really, really helps me to like drop the baggage of the person who would start talking in my head. So when I can remember to do that, that's my
jam. That is
jam on it. On it.
That is where that I'm actually there. Like, I'm moving out of doing something that I don't want to do anymore. Right. So I have a client that I've had for several years, and I've been working with him for months. I make good money with him, and like, I'm done. Like, it doesn't, the integrity around me showing up how I have been showing up, because we're just spinning our wheels. I'm telling him the same thing. And so I could say, nope, let's do it again, because I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable with what him and I have as far as the coaching, the working out, the eating healthy, but he's not progressing. And so I could say, let's just keep doing this. Like, this is fine. But I keep saying it, like, I'm done working with him. Like, I can't keep doing this. And the universe is starting to shift it. And so I do have to put something in place to replace that income, because so, like, to pay my mortgages, all those things. And so that helps me to look at myself, like, what feels good to me. And and this time around, it's not the money. This time around is pushing myself out there to finish my course. Things that I've been putting on the back burner, because I've had this client, a couple of clients that, like, this is fine. This is all I need right now. And now things are changing. So me being consistent in finishing my course, sticking with what I put down, is going to, it's going to fall into place, so I can let this other client go. Okay? Yeah. So that's where I am right now, where I'm just like, okay, this is my consistency. Let's stick with it. I always say, like, after today, I'm going to go ahead. Yes.
After this piece of cake. Yes.
After this Netflix series, I will.
Yes.
Busy.
Right. It's that's the piece.
And I don't want to jump in this now because I really want Audrey on this call, but I would like to talk about Black women and neurodivergency, where your mind is spinning. You have desires, you don't know how to step out of it. Black women and how the mind works, whether it's ADHD, whatever it is, has not been focused on. And I know that that's a big part of what me and my daughter talk about, how she shows up, how I show up, how our family shows up, is because that stuff has not been talked about. And that affects consistency and
absolutely
what you want in a big, big way. So we are going to have a conversation, but I want to make sure that Audrey can hop on and talk with us about it, because it plays such a big part in how we show up, and getting depressed and shutting down and not wanting to go is because our mental health has not been looked at, has not been honored, because there's no light that has been shown around it for Black women.
I've seen that with clients, and personally, there's no way that I do not have ADHD. There's absolutely no way. And where I've done the work to deal with the anxiety and the depression, and that's no longer an issue. What it hasn't done is like focus in my mind in a way that I can show up by other people's definitions of consistency. And even when I'm able to show up in my way of consistency, I think that, definitely as Black women, just getting whatever support we need so that we are actually like living out the things that want to come out of us, because I've seen it change Black women clients of mine's lives to get the diagnosis and the treatment for their neurodivergence, even though I am just disgusted by the idea. I think that this goes back to white supremacy. I think it goes back to the patriarchy. I'm just disgusted by the idea that there was ever like an idea that there was one way to do things. The fact that we like forced that on so many people, and not only hurt so many people who like could not get with the program with their neurodiversity, but it hurt people who could get with the program. And it stopped us from creating ways to support people to actually get things done, because we haven't had to be creative. It's either you fit in this box or you don't. And so you can go away if you don't fit in the box. So this is such a fantastic topic.
Yeah,
absolutely. I look forward to that as well, because it is, see, we can just keep going and keep going and keep going. I see the stretch that Ali has made, that it's time for us to move on.
I have no clue what time it is when we started, but yeah.
Did you have an idea around homework, Demita, Erica? Because I do, if no one.
I have an idea. I have an idea around homework. And also we can, maybe your idea, who knows, fits in a more appropriate way. I don't know. But I'm going to say this, because one of the things that we didn't talk about, well, we kind of did, were habits. And I know that we had mentioned before that habits take 21 days to, what is the word I'm looking for, people? Come on. To become a part of your being, if you will. And I want to say that that is not accurate. And I want to speak to that just for a moment. And it is known that it takes a minimum of 21 days, and that everybody, depending on the habit and depending on the person, right? How many excuses do we have in a day? That it may take from 2 months to 8 months, depending. And so I want to talk more about that at some point. We don't need to talk about it now. So my homework was in line with that, and I'm not sure we're there yet. And so, Ali, perhaps we can talk about what your homework is.
I definitely think a show around habits is going to be perfect.
Yes.
We can habit stacking. We can do all the things to keep people on that path. So for my homework was to have people write down what is their end goal, and then to write down 3 things that they want to do, whether it's daily or weekly, to get you to that goal. Like your consistency roadmap, like what does that look like? And then after you write down your steps, I want you to sit and to think, like your integrity? Does it feel good to you to do that? So maybe you have 4 things a week and you're just like, oh, that's overwhelming. I'm going to knock it down to 3, or I'm going to knock it down to 2, but you're still on that path to get you to your end result. Like, this is where I'm headed and I'm going to do it this way. So how does that sound for homework?
I love that. In addition, I just want to add, I think it would behoove our audience to define consistency for yourselves.
Yes.
Before you step into that consistency roadmap.
I like that. Okay. So write down, what does consistency mean to you? What is your end goal? And then what are some steps that you're going to take to get there? And does that feel good, right? Does that feel good in your body? Integrity for yourself. So that is your
love it.
All right. Fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So does everybody feel complete after this consistent meeting?
Yes, 1000% complete.
Absolutely beautiful. 1 hour in.
Awesome. So as we always say, please give us 5 stars, share us with your friends. We are going to start working on our masterclass that's coming up next month. So we'll start to promote that too.
Woo!
And we're excited to have you. And of course, all of our information is posted below on Instagram. You can follow us to see what we've got going on in our world and what's coming up, and see if you want to tap in and join us at the studio. Demita does anti-racism work. We're having a community talk that's coming up on April 15th at the studio. And then Erica, you're going to be coming up with your new group around the female technique, inner feminine technique.
That will come out soon.
Okay, perfect.
But right now, what I'm offering, if anybody wants to join, is an open meeting. It's donation based. It's every Thursday for an hour. And it's at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And we just hop on, we talk spirituality, do a little meditation, and you get some coaching on the spot. So
that's beautiful.
Fabulous. All right.
When does that begin, Erica?
It started 2 weeks ago. So we've already had a couple, and it's been so awesome. Such a beautiful community of humans.
Nice.
And is that on your Instagram? Will it be in your link tree? How can we find that? Okay.
It is. All over Instagram.
Beautiful.
And that is one of my things to be more consistent about, is hop on Instagram and see what people are doing.
Yes.
At least once a week. At least once a week, I'll hop on Instagram and check out what people have going on. All right, everyone. Thanks for hopping on. Thanks for joining us. Tap on, and we will see you next week. Peace.